Late last night, and we're having some very good times in our country. We're doing very well, except for the border. The border is a big problem. It's a very dangerous problem, and so I can talk all about the job numbers and how well we're doing on the economy. The stock market's up. I guess now we're over 30%. Late last night. Late last night, and we're having some very good times in our country. We're doing very well, except for the border. The border is a big problem. It's a very dangerous problem, and so I can talk all about the job numbers and how well we're doing on the economy. The stock market's up. I guess now we're over 30% since the election. So many good things are happening, but we have to take care of the border. And we're all working together. I really believe the Democrats and the Republicans are working together. I think that something will happen, I hope. Otherwise, we'll go about it in a different manner. And I don't think we'll have to do that, but you never know. In a few moments, and something will happen, I hope. Otherwise, we'll go about it in a different manner. And since the election, something will happen, I hope. Otherwise, we'll go about it in a different manner. And I don't think we'll have to do that, but you never know. In a few moments, I'll sign legislation continuing my administration's extensive efforts to combat the scourge of human trafficking. I spoke about it last night, human trafficking. It really hits a nerve. We're talking about, in many cases, women and children. The scourge of human trafficking. I spoke about it last night, human trafficking. It really hits a nerve. We're talking about, in many cases, women and children grabbed, thrown into the backseat of a car or thrown into a van with no windows, with no any form of air, tape put across their mouths, and they're brought across the border. And they don't go through checkpoints. They go through the emptiest spot they can find, with no walls, with no fences. Through the emptiest spot they can find, with no walls, with no fences. Through the emptiest spot they can find, with no walls, with no fences. I want to thank Vice President Pence, who's here, Secretary Nielsen, Acting Attorney General Whitaker, Secretary Azar, a woman known as Ivanka Trump. She's a great one. Where is Ivanka? Good. Hi, Ivanka. Very hard on this. This is very close to her heart. Deputy Secretary Sullivan, Administrator Green, Acting Director Vitello, Assistant Secretary Johnson, and Ambassador Richmond for being here today. It's a group of people that has really, really worked, and they worked hard. I also want to recognize a great friend of mine, a man who's done so well and so popular in the state of Ohio, Rob Portman. Where's Rob? Great job, Rob. Appreciate it. And Senator Chris Coons, who on occasion we disagree, but I actually like him. We pray.
All right. We're going to get back to that. Just want to jump in here. That just came out maybe an hour, 45 minutes ago, folks. Yeah. You heard me skipping it back in the beginning, right? We'll do it one more time. We just got a bunch of people coming in. I wanted to open it with that. But here, we'll just listen to a few key points again for everyone just jumping in.
That's a good step. With no, and I don't think we'll have to do that, but you never know. In a few moments, I'll sign legislation continuing my administration's extensive efforts to combat the scourge of human trafficking. I spoke about it last night, human trafficking. It really hits a nerve. We're talking about, in many cases, women and children grabbed, thrown into the backseat of a car or thrown into a van with no windows, with no any form of air, tape put across their mouths, and they're brought across the border. And they don't go through checkpoints. They go through the emptiest spot they can find, with no walls, with no fences. I want to thank Vice thrown into the back with no any form of air, tape put across their mouths and their through the emptiest spot they can find, with no walls, with no fences. Through the emptiest spot they can find, with no walls, with no fences. Through the emptiest spot they can find, with no walls, with no fences. I want to thank Vice President Pence, who's here. Country, we're doing very well, except for the border. The border is a big problem. It's a very dangerous problem. And so I can talk all about the job numbers and how well we're doing on the economy. The stock market's up. I guess now we're over 30% since the election. So many good things are happening, but we have to take care of the border. And we're all working together. I really believe the Democrats and the Republicans are working together. I think that something will happen, I hope. Otherwise, we'll go about it in a different manner. And I don't think we'll have to do that, but you never know. And we're all working together. I really believe the Democrats and the Republicans are working together. I think that something will happen, I hope. Otherwise, we'll go about it in a different manner. And I don't think we'll have to do that, but you never know. Something will happen, I hope. Something will happen, I hope. And I don't think we'll have to do that. And I don't think we'll have to do that, but you never know. In a few moments, I'll sign legislation continuing my administration's extensive efforts to combat the scourge of human trafficking. I spoke about it last night, human trafficking.
All right.
You get a little more clear picture there, folks, here at the Patriot Hour of Time now, because it's the end of time for these guys. Man,
Yeah.
wow. Break that down for us, Mike.
I heard everything that we basically said. He's going to give the Democrats, now I think, what time is it? 14:16, folks, in the corner.
Yep.
That's 2:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So at 3 p.m., he's supposed to be meeting with the leaders. So we're going to talk, Pelosi, Chuck.
Yep.
And I've already told you, their strategic move, I think in this little game they're playing, is they're going to hold out. They don't want a border wall. If they want to promote, the only time, if it gets built by them, it would be on their watch. They want a Democratic president in, and they want to do something good on there, but they're not promoting that. They're not saying wait until we get him. You know, they wouldn't do it anyway. That's the illusion that they can't come to an agreement. They're going to keep this shutdown going. They're not going to let him do it with their consent. So, but you heard every key word there, folks. We're going to try to work it out. I think we can work it out. If not, we have to do it other ways. And he's already said what the other way was.
We might have to, yes. And I think you realize exactly what he's trying to say without saying it. I mean, we're awake enough now to realize that there's other ways. We don't want to go that route. I mean, that's kind of why, there back in the studio, we're getting it skipped back for you so you can repeat that statement over and over and over to drive home what we've been trying to tell you guys. There is that way, and we're not brushing it under the rug. We're not saying put your heads in the sands and don't be aware of what could happen. Prepare for what could happen. Remember, preparation favors victory. But I think the Patriots are winning, and this is, again, listen to what he's saying. He's calling those people, yeah. What did
you think you heard out of that? Like certain everything that.
Well, he's signing another executive order on human trafficking. Now, of course, we didn't go over I think it was like a 30-minute speech or a 45-minute speech.
I got 20 minutes here.
Okay, 20 minutes. So it's only 20
here
minutes.
We could talk over. I'll turn it down a little bit too until we get to. Let me see. All right, I can still hear you.
So, I mean, he's definitely talking about human trafficking and being very descriptive on.
Hands tied and go through somebody that's checking out your car or your van. About as easy as it gets, because this is a problem that there is no definition of the other side. There's only one side. So I want to thank Democrats for helping us out with this one. But still much work remains. We cannot.
There's only a right and wrong.
Yeah, I totally agree. Exactly. That's what we're talking about here. A wall is right, and open, free borders for anybody and their mothers and their cousins and their sisters and their brothers to come in is not right.
Yeah, and to act like we'll do anything but a wall because a wall is inadequate and it won't work. Like, how do they know? Like, both sides
Of
are
international
citing.
human trafficking. If we do not secure our border, they're bringing them through the border. That's where they're coming from in this part of the world. All over the world, but in this part of the world, they're bringing them through the border. They're driving in, and they're not going through checkpoints because you can't have 4 or 5 people sitting in the back of a car with tape over your mouth and your hands tied and go through somebody that's checking out your car or your van. Unsecure borders allow international
that?
human trafficking. If we do
Yep.
not secure our border, they're bringing them through the border. That's where they're coming from in this part of the world. All over the world, but in this part
All
of
over
the
the
world, they're
world,
bringing
yeah,
them through
that's-
the border. They're
But
driving.
in this part, they're driving
Yes.
them through. They're not coming to the checkpoint, Charlie's.
They're not coming. They're not flying over. They're not taking submarines over. They're not.
They might.
They're not
There
taking
might be some that fly. I whatever. But
the biggest point of coming through the biggest, I guess, bleeding section of this security is at the border, at our southern border right now. It may change at a different time, but right now it's at our southern border, I believe.
And they're not going through checkpoints because you can't have 4 or 5 people sitting in the back of a car with tape over your mouth and your hands tied and go through somebody that's checking out your car or your van.
so the only thing you can do, and again, you can't just be a civilian sitting at home and say, he's lying. Like, what do you really know of how this works? You know?
Yeah.
So the only other thing you can do is hope that the media would do exposés on this, and they can meet with Osama bin Laden in a cave when the CIA couldn't find him.
Yeah.
You know, all the biggest, hugest intelligence gathering system, biggest budget on the planet Earth, and they couldn't find him. But yet CNN and a camera guy arrange and march right into a cave, find him, and conduct an interview.
Because he was on dialysis and couldn't really move out of the cave. He had some issues. This is just, yeah, exactly. Think about it, folks. This happens all over the world, and he's just calling out the globalists right there. But what is he telling you again? Well, that may happen, but here in our nation, because he's a nationalist, he's telling you this is what's happening and this is how it's happening here in our nation, in this part of the world. So that's a little.
Well, we talked
key
about it
area.
earlier too. If we just take what we've learned, and it's almost like if Trump and good military Patriot and good intel led him to believe that somebody was orchestrating a group of people, paying them, lobbying to get illegals to come, and you're paid by a third party, that implicates things.
Yes, for sure.
That is like a target. So then you're allowed to say an invasion and we need to do things, but then that same facet that set all that up goes to their media outlets and says, pitch a story of this. That it's
Exactly.
a caravan. Start using the word caravan, get it out 20 times an hour.
Don't say
and,
these words. Yep. Say this word. I mean, it's. I think we were. There's a. What was that video that we put out? It was on one of my channels. I had the little. Every news channel outlet was saying the same thing over and over. I mean, we've shown that one. I mean, so we know that.
The narrative is set somewhere, right?
Yes,
talking-
exactly.
People
Only
use it.
six-
Well, the first story that breaks sets the narrative, and then everyone from there, whether what used or however that comes off of a website, the keywords, the title, those are going to be repeated the most. So they start talking about this collective idea. When one idea starts somewhere, it's almost like that game, like you said. But normally that gets switched really bad by mouth to mouth. But I think the digital era has changed that. It could be the opposite.
The digital era, exactly, because there's integrity of content.
Well,
When
you're
you play
copy and
Whisper
paste,
down the-
so it's
Yeah, so you can't. It's exactly. I mean, we see people all the time getting hemmed up, and even currently right now, where emails, tweets, these little things
that
that were said
collective
years
idea.
ago. Yes, it's not just it's not hearsay anymore. There's tangible things that have been said. You've said it, on digital, and it's coming back to almost haunt you because it's very interesting, and nothing. And we've talked about there are some things in the internet that can be completely scrubbed. We were kind of talking garage talk earlier in between these two episodes, and we have our ideas of how something could get completely scrubbed off of the internet as a whole. And we know that there are certain agencies, some are not for profit, that hold like the DNS, the domain network naming service. That's only one organization controls that whole thing throughout the whole internet. And so you have to have just more than one individual trying to pirate and wipe the internet clean. It takes a collective of very high individuals to do this type of manipulation. But the news is different. The news is only owned, all the news we have is owned by what, Mike? Like 6 companies in total own all media on Earth?
So it's a little easier to control that narrative. All right, we'll listen to a little bit more here of, we'll jump around. We're not going to listen to all 20 minutes. You guys can definitely find this yourselves. I think it's 21 minutes in total, but we're just going to skip through, get to a few good points.
Unsecure borders allow traffickers clear passage to transport their victims. And into the United States is very easy to come. All you do is drive 20 miles one way or the other, and you'll find an open spot where there's no protection. And then you'll go hundreds of miles where you'll see pure open spots. In fiscal year 2018, ICE made more than 1,500 human trafficking arrests, mostly sex trafficking. I'd like to ask Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker and Assistant Attorney General Eric Dreiband to say a few words about the recent case that dismantled a Mexican sex trafficking organization that was brutal, that operated in the United States and horrendously abused young women from Latin America. A brutal, brutal situation. Could I ask Matt to say a few words about it?
I agree with you. Human trafficking is a scourge on humanity internationally and here in the United States, and it's something the Department of Justice is absolutely committed to ending, and something for which we have leadership in the federal government and across the country in law enforcement to do all we can to prevent these horrific cases from happening. We're going to prosecute those that engage in these offenses wherever we encounter them, and we will bring justice to the victims of these crimes. While human trafficking happens both internationally and domestically, undoubtedly human trafficking and the criminals who engage in it significantly are aided by a porous and unsecure southern border. We need to be able to control those who are entering and leaving our country, and a southern border that is not secured exacerbates the incidence of human trafficking. There is a broad bipartisan support, as we see here today, to end human trafficking. There should be broad bipartisan support to secure the southern border so that we can more effectively combat human trafficking. We need a secure southern border, and we need Congress to do something about it. I'm going to turn to Eric Dreiband, our Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division, to talk a little bit about a case that we just announced some convictions in. I also want to introduce Rich Donahue, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, whose office prosecuted that case. So go ahead, Eric.
Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, thank you for prioritizing the prosecution of human trafficking here in the United States. The case that Acting Attorney General Whitaker mentioned was a very complicated, long-running human trafficking case where Mexican nationals were engaged in trafficking young girls and women across the border, smuggling these women across the border into the United States and forcing them into prostitution. Working with the United States Attorney's Office in Brooklyn and in Atlanta, as well as the Department of Homeland Security, the Justice Department obtained convictions of 8 of these individuals, and earlier this week, 5 of the 8 were...
I just paused it for a minute because I don't know if they're going to get into it. I haven't seen this all the way through yet either, folks. So, but one thing they are hitting on hard is the trafficking, like we've been, and it's finally just being talked about a lot because it's always been about the illegals, the flow, only the flow of just people that are hungry. And they're talking a lot about getting trafficked in, which is crazy as it is. I don't know if they're going to ever truly hit on the ones that have gotten trafficked out, because a lot of people, that's not the way they want to think. People that have missing kids wouldn't want to hope that.
Trafficking goes both ways in the borders. That's why
Yeah.
he said a porous border, which means porous means with lots of holes.
They're painting the picture here, and they're getting a lot of experts from different. Hey, I'd like to introduce. He's the head of the DOJ.
Yes, these aren't the people. Yes,
And they're painting this picture because Trump's getting ready to go in a meeting, and he's 30 minutes from now.
yes.
So-
supposedly, yeah.
30 minutes from now, he'll be sitting down and with all this put out beforehand. See if they
Listen carefully what the experts are telling you, because these are the experts in their field. Now, yes, we give them some credibility with a portion of chew the meat, spit the bones, but just what Mike said, Trump is now bringing in experts in these fields to break down what's currently happening, current cases that just got indictment, to let you know exactly what's happening. And it's not the president telling you, I just got informed that these indictments are. So let's keep on watching. I'm excited to see what these guys are saying.
To extensive prison sentences. In addition, we are now working with the victims in this case and in all others, the victims of human trafficking whose lives have been devastated by these kinds of horrible crimes. So thank you, Mr. President.
And thank you very much, Eric. And Rich also, because Rich has done an incredible job of not only prosecution, but other things that are coming up. And maybe you'd say a few words, please.
We have a tremendous team in Brooklyn and across the Eastern District of New York, but every day we go to work, we see the results of having a border that's not secure, whether it's MS-13, drug trafficking, or human trafficking that we're talking about today. Our folks get up every day, work with our law enforcement partners diligently to protect the victims and protect our country. But the reality is, as long as we have a border that is not secure, we are going to suffer the consequences of that. And so, stepping forward, we think that it would be a tremendous advantage to us in law enforcement in New York and across the country to have a border that is secure so that we can protect our people and protect our country.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you. The fact is that if we don't have barriers, walls, call them what you want, but if we don't have very strong barriers where people can not any longer drive right across, they have unbelievable vehicles. They make a lot of money. They have the best vehicles you can buy. They have stronger, bigger, and faster vehicles than our police have, and than ICE has, and than Border Patrol has. So they're pretty good at that. They have areas that they go to, it's like a highway. And we have to close them up. And if we don't close them up, you're all kidding yourselves. Look, we can all play games, but a wall is a necessity. All of the other things, the sensors and the drones, it's all wonderful to have, and it works well, but only if you have the wall. If you don't have the wall, it doesn't matter. A drone isn't stopping 1,000 people from running through. And so we can all talk. And interestingly, if you look, virtually through. And so we can have the wall. It doesn't matter. A drone isn't stopping 1,000 people from running through. And so we can all talk. And interestingly, if you look, virtually every Democrat over the last 15 years, they've approved what we're asking for. So I think we're doing something. I think we're getting closer. But we really have to think about the people of our country. This is not a fight I wanted. I didn't want this fight. We have to think about the people of our country, and we have to do what's right at our border and many other places, but we have to do what's right at our border. Human trafficking cannot be stopped if we don't have a steel barrier or a concrete wall, something very powerful. It cannot be stopped. There's nothing. We have the most talented law enforcement people in the world, as far as I'm concerned, right alongside of me and behind me. It doesn't mean a thing if they're going to be driving women and children through sections of the border where nobody is, where you can't be because you don't have enough manpower or woman power. You don't have enough of anything. You have 2,000 miles of border. So if you're not going to stop it, in all fairness, there's not much they can do. They can get them every once in a while. But the other way, we can eliminate the problem as it pertains to the area that is the worst problem. Probably the world's worst problem, because they come into the United States because we have the money. That's true with drugs. And everything I said for human trafficking is also true with drugs. So we got to get the politics out of this and go back to common sense. You know, they say it's a medieval solution, a wall. That's true. It's medieval because it worked then, and it works even better now. Israel put up a wall, 99.9% successful, according to Bibi Netanyahu. He came into my office a couple of months ago. He said, "What's with the wall?" We put up a wall. It was 99.9% successful. 99.9. I said, "Do you mind if I use that number?" He said, "You know, because they'll fact check it and they'll say, oh, it was actually only 99%. The president told a fib." Now, he told me 99.9. Maybe he'll change it, make it 99. But they put up a wall and they don't have a problem anymore. And we have to do the same thing. The United States must not incentivize or enable these evil crimes. Instead, we should do everything we can to fight them, and that's what we're doing. I call on Congress to send me a funding bill to secure the border, build a barrier, and help end this horrific assault on innocent life, not to mention the drugs, not to mention the gangs and the criminals. And I will very gladly sign this legislation having to do specifically with a horrible, horrible worldwide problem, human trafficking. And it's my honor to do it, and I very much appreciate all of the Democrat support. I very much do. Thank you. Okay.
See that, folks?
I think he does a question and answer here with so we can jump into a few of those after we talk a little bit. But that was so. Think about this. Guys goes on and on and on and on. If you play the game, I don't know why. Why not just do the $5 billion, build the wall, and if it doesn't help at all, then the next Democratic president can have a thing of let's tear down the wall, and they can all tear it down. It didn't work, but it's what's the risk? The other way is we know we got all this crap going on. Chuck Schumer, Pelosi, we know we physically have this. They can argue, no, they're coming through where you drive at the border spot. It's the American people that are security guards there, their fault, not the open spots. They're not coming through there, folks. I mean, that's the guise of it. And and in some of these desolate spots, you don't have people that live there. They're using it to cross, but you don't have a town. So there's not really going to be guards hanging out there. They will,
or water, or food, or supplies.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about
take a truck full of stuff, and they should sit in one spot all day. No, you have to kind of patrol, and it doesn't. Something's fishy about this. It's really fishy.
Well, he made a great point. He says the medieval walls worked back well in medieval times, and they're going to work great now.
And then that guy with 99%. Hey, you mind if I use that number? I like it.
99.9. Yeah, Israel. Israel has always. Why have they been so secure for ground movement? Not so much rockets and that kind of stuff overhead. But that being said, they have a very secure wall, and you can't hop over the wall. They're pretty serious about their border and about their sovereignty, and they make it well known about their sovereignty. If Trump, our president, is giving references to medieval times when people were storming other kingdoms and invading other countrysides and areas and sections of land to gain their empires. That's exactly what's happening now. The only difference is they're walking over with different kind of clothes and different kind of shoes. An invasion is still an invasion, and a low-tech way is one of the best ways, because he said a drone's not going to stop 1,000 people from running over the border.
Yeah, that's what they're trying. The security that Schumer and Pelosi are pitching for is get drones and stuff for what? So we can watch it and have video leak out online of people running, in heat sensor night mode, and we watch it oh yeah, a bunch of people just crossed, so they can manipulate the other end of the information, how it comes in from a drone. I mean, no, we want a wall. What does a drone do? It can let you know.
You can't weaponize the drone, because if you start shooting down people from the sky, that kind of gets a little iffy. How do you react to that, or how can you say, well, it's all for border security? But a wall, think about it, a wall, secured structure, great humanitarian way, right? Think about it. People are going to stop dying of dehydration and starvation in the desert because they can't make it across that 1,000-mile trek of nothing. People, you start seeing all
Human
the
trafficking,
positives.
drugs,
Yes, I mean
gangs.
it's on, and that's positive. Well, think about
There's
those
just
who are
no
hungry.
logical reason. The article this
Yes.
morning for the facts at the border, they just approved a $54 billion federal foreign government budget to give out taxpayers' dollars. Nobody's complaining. The people
Nobody's saying
here in
anything.
America,
Yes.
the fellow Americans, are complaining about $5 billion of their taxpayers going towards a wall that could protect them. But they're not arguing about $53 billion going to foreign
Other
countries.
countries. That's a gift.
Well,
That's like
that's fine. They need it. It's like, we need something of our own tax dollars. No, how dare you? You know, it's, oh man.
what would happen if we gave zero foreign aid for just 1 year, and we took that foreign aid money and we did like
53 billion.
build the
bucks.
wall. Yeah, 53 billion. Well, how about the wall, the roads, the bridges, the power stations? How
See
about
that?
America's infrastructure?
Sharon Norman, 17 billion to Tunisia. No, that was funny when I was doing some government contract work
Yes, Sharon.
for that outfit.
Yeah.
I had Tunisia military come over, and I had to work with a few of their high-ranking military. They were buying military vehicles, and their government they wanted to make sure they sent 2 guys over to physically drive, inspect, and sign off on their own version of a sheet for each and every vehicle they were buying, so they didn't buy any junk. Those guys were real tight with their money. But there you go. We're giving 17 billion to them. And now where's the outcry for that? I don't even know what Tunisia is. But I know I don't want the wall. It's people don't
Yeah,
know
it's not
what
even-
they want. They're told what
Yes.
they want, and they're told what to not want, and told Trump's racist, and told that, I don't know, they're not reporting on this drugs and human trafficking. Folks,
Yeah,
it's
nobody's.
real.
Yeah, my gosh. You think about now. Trump has also never really been big on his foreign policies on a whole. He's always talked about the next deal when it comes to this country. We're going to make a deal with that country. He's not talking on a global level. He's dealing with individual countries, which is in and of itself interesting. Because, again, a nationalistic mentality versus a globalist mentality. And what do you think is going to be the next major thing that's after treason, all this kind of stuff gets hemmed out, you guys? It's going to be this foreign aid. Foreign aid for what? How about, why don't they give us some aid? How about we get
Well,
foreign aid from Tunisia for our wall?
And I'm sure we'll still be real helping folks. I mean, it'll just be on a different level. And again,
Yes.
it's kind of like, we know a lot of this money was just going to the government and some of the mob characters in these other countries and the globalist. Nothing to do with what it was really probably asked for. So maybe it comes in different forms. Who knows? But
who knows if there's also some other organizations that maybe spring up, and there's no things like Feed the Children or Feed the Hungry, or these reputable that we know of organizations that actually can get the food to the starving people in those villages, not give the government billions of dollars and hope the government will give their people money, because we know that never happens, nor has
Yeah.
it ever happened in the past.
all right, I'm going to put this back in. We'll finish up. I'm going to do a quick recap, a couple little areas real quick for anyone new that's in. And then we're going to get to the question and answers, because I'm sure that
There's
we'll get
also
some good
some
stuff out
juice
of
in there,
Trump.
too.
Yeah, it always gets it. There's some idiot reporter there, right? Always. All right.
Dangerous problem. And so I can talk all about the job numbers and how well we're doing on the economy. The stock market's up. I guess now we're over 30% since the election. So many good things are happening, but we have to take care of the border. And we're all working together. I really believe the Democrats and the Republicans are working together. I think that something will happen, I hope. Otherwise, we'll go about it in a different manner. And I don't think we'll have to do that. And something will happen, I hope. Otherwise, we'll go about it in a different manner. And I don't think we'll have to do that, but you never know. Vice President Pence, who's here. Senator Chris. I signed Representative Smith's. It's not. It's a very modern day form, and because of the internet, what they do with the internet, how they find people through the internet, it's not. Many administration has made the fight against human trafficking one of the highest priorities. Today's bill marks the fourth robust piece of bipartisan legislation, and it is bipartisan, I have to tell you. The Democrats have been great, that I've signed. In just the last few weeks, we have a couple of others here that are already signed, having to do with the same situation. Little different, but all related. And it's just over the last couple of weeks that we've signed this. It's been a very strong priority, but it's not easy getting everyone together. But this was, Chris, I would say about as easy as it gets, because this is a problem that there is no definition of the other side. There's only one side. So I want to thank Democrats for helping us out with this one. I didn't go through somebody that's checking out your car or your van. Unsecure borders allow traffickers clear passage to transport their victims. And into the United States is very easy to come. All you do is drive 20 miles one way or the other, and you'll find an open spot where there's no protection. And then you'll go hundreds of miles where you'll see pure open spots. In fiscal year 28 at our border and many other places, but we have to do what's right at our border. Human trafficking cannot be stopped if we don't have a steel barrier or a concrete wall, something very powerful. It cannot be stopped. There's nothing. We have the most talented law enforcement people in the world, as far as I'm concerned, right alongside of me and behind me. It doesn't mean a thing if they're going to be driving women and children through sections of the border where nobody is, where you can't be because you don't have enough manpower. 9.9% successful. 99.9. I said, do you mind if I use that number? He said, you know, because they'll fact check it and they'll say, oh, it was actually only 99%. Okay.
Federal workers, security guards, Secret Service agents, TSA agents, who are now going without pay.
I think they have been terrific. These are terrific patriots. A lot of them agree with what I'm doing, and I hope we're going to have the situation worked out. But they want security in our country, and so do I. That's all we want. We want security. We want common sense. We want security in our country. When you look at what's going on, immigration just went to very high on your list. I saw even on your list. Immigration's very high on the list, but we're not talking about just immigration. And I would like, and I'll say it in front of some of our Democrat friends here, I would love to see a big immigration bill where we really take care of the situation. I know you want to. Everybody wants to. Who wouldn't want to? Right now we have a problem. We have to take care of this, and it's quicker and easier to do this individually. But we would like to see real immigration reform in this country because we need it. And it can be a beautiful thing. And with all of the companies coming into our country, we have 7 car companies now that are announcing or have announced just recently, and we have many car companies and other companies, as you know, they're flowing in. We have the best job numbers virtually that we've ever had. For African American, the best ever. Hispanic, Asian, the best ever. The best in 50 years in the overall number, and soon that's going to be beaten. So we have the best job numbers. We need people. We need great qualified people. We want them to come in. So I think it's a great time right now because of that. We need people, Rob. And I mean, in Ohio, you need workers. And I know you feel the same way. I know Chris, I mean, I'll speak for Chris, but everybody wants to see immigration reform. It's overdue. And it's always been very political, and maybe this will turn out to be a blessing in disguise. But John, I will tell you this. The people out there want something to happen at our southern border, whether it's human trafficking, whether it's drugs, whether it's criminals, whether it's MS-13. The folks behind me know all about MS-13 and how violent and vicious they are and where they come from. And they all come from the same place, and they all come in the same way. They come right across that border. And we've thrown thousands out. I would say thousands, right, fellas? I mean, literally MS-13, and you have a lot of it. I know that, Rich. We throw thousands out a year, and then they come back, and we move them all the way back to where they came from. all the way back, and they find a way to come back again. We need strong borders, and we need immigration reform. Beyond that, we need immigration reform. Okay, let's go.
But these people have to go without their paychecks. Some are being forced to work without pay. Some have been furloughed. These are
They all get the money. They're all going to get the money, and I think they're going to be happy. And I will tell you, and I say it often, many of those people that you're talking about, so humanly the way you express it, but many of those people that you talk about are on my side. I've had so many people. The beautiful thing is with social media, the world can write to you. And you take a look at social media. So many of those people are saying, it's very hard for me, it's very hard for my family, but Mr. President, you're doing the right thing. Get it done. I've had so many of them. They're patriots. They love our country. And they want to see it be done. Look, this is just common sense. They want to see it be done correctly. We need a barrier. We have to stop people from coming in the way they come in. And if we don't have it, you can never have border security unless you have a steel barrier, a concrete wall, you can call it whatever you want, but without it, you can have the greatest talent in the world. You will never, ever, in a million years, you will not have border security. Can't happen.
Mr. President, what's your current thinking on a national emergency? Why didn't you announce it last night, and when might you?
Because I think we might work a deal, and if we don't, I may go that route. I have the absolute right to do national emergency if I want.
What's your threshold for when you might?
Stop people from coming. Border security, unless you have a steel barrier, a concrete wall, you can call it whatever you want, but without it, you can have the greatest talent in the world. You will never, ever, in a million years, you will not have border security. Can't happen.
Mr. President, what's your current thinking on a national emergency? Why didn't you announce it last night, and when might you?
Because I think we might work a deal, and if we don't, I may go that route. I have the absolute right to do national emergency if I want.
What's your threshold for when you might make that?
My threshold will be if I can't
There
make
you
a
heard
deal
it.
with people that are unreasonable.
What's your message?
Right there.
I think that sums it up right there. That's so that we came close, but this is, we're not at the precipice yet.
He was giving them that one more chance today, folks. I mean, I'm not going to say just today. Could it be today, tomorrow morning, and then another time tomorrow afternoon? That's 3 meetings with the Dems, and they're just showing up and voting to go home real quick. I vote we stop this and go home. All in favor? Aye, all right. You know, that's what they're
And they
doing.
asked, well, how long do you think this is going to last? And these people, the first question that I can see that guy asking is these people with paychecks. He's trying to spout the same narrative that Pelosi and her old gun runner over there was starting to spout out. So
Daniel Bird asked, do we think they'll take the offer?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's finish up. We got 1 minute, no, 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Might be 1 or 2 more questions. Might get something good. See, these question and answers, they
do bring out some juice.
Yeah.
The Republicans who are now on Capitol Hill saying.
Oh, I think we have tremendous Republican support. I tell you what, I just spoke to a few of the people in the House. We have tremendous support. The Senate has been incredible. Mitch McConnell has been incredible. He said, if the president's not going to sign it, I'm not going to waste my time. And, I mean, Rob Portman's here. He can tell you he's very strong on border security. We have tremendous support in the Senate. We have tremendous support in the House. And by the way, you know, they say, oh, is it true that somebody's, you know, a congressman, he broke away? Okay. Yeah, every once in a while you're going to have that. But you know who else has that? The Democrats have that, too. Because they have their people breaking away, too. You know why? Because they know you need border security. But you don't report that. But the fact is that there is tremendous support. I would know. Without support, I would be the first one to know. I may be the last one, too. But there is tremendous support. Right now, if I did something that was foolish, like gave up on border security, the first ones that would hit me are my senators. They'd be angry at me. The second ones would be the House. And the third ones would be, frankly, my base and a lot of Republicans out there and a lot of Democrats that want to see border security. Okay, what else? Any questions?
So why not sign the other bills, though, so some of these workers can get paid, the government...
You think I should do that?
No,
do you think I should do that, John?
I mean, it's not for me
I mean,
to
I
say.
watch your one-sided reporting. Do you think I should do that? Hey, John. No, seriously, John, do you think I should just sign?
Well, the argument
No,
is...
tell me.
Sign these bills that have nothing to do with
John,
border
do you think I
security.
should just sign?
I'm saying that if you sign that, these workers can start getting paid, the government can
So
start...
you would do that if you were in my position, you'd do that?
I'm not in your position. I'm asking you if that's something you...
I'm asking you, would you do that if you were in my position? Because if you would do that, you should never be in this position. Because you'd never get anything done. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Nice.
We're getting stuff done. You see that? If you're, yeah. He just
I'm not
basically
saying that.
shattered.
I'm asking you. Good time, folks. Hammer time.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
He's
So-
too legit to quit.
Yeah. That's pray.
Oh yeah. No, I think it was a pretty, like I said, what was that? Christopher Olsen.
to
It was a
pray.
pretty boss move.
You got to
I mean,
pray.
it was, man. Just to make it today.
Folks. That's good. So there you go.
I think that's pretty straightforward. That he answered his own question of martial law, national security, however you want to paint the picture. Yeah, we haven't had that. I don't want to. We could go that route. We may have to.
Well, think about
he's
it.
trying
Dude.
to
That's and everyone. I knew it last night that he had already said it. Did he need to
That's what
say
we were
it
talking
again?
about. Yeah.
And I think since everyone was tuning in, he tuned
Mm-hmm.
it down and did it in the best manner. It's almost a pretty good move. Don't have to threaten anybody, and basically you're just talking to this other political party and the whole evil system out there that they already know what he can do and what he's already said and what he just said again. So they're going to meet today, 3:00, and I think they can make some deals. I think they can make the deal's on the table. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. You can see he's been pretty transparent, I guess, from what he's asking for, and we still don't know what the left is asking for other than getting people back to work so they can get more money. So
I found that interesting. Like he said that they're reporting on. There's a lot of people out there without paychecks. The other way to look at that is some of them are out there. It is rough, but they support this as well. It's almost like, is that a reason to give up on all the nation's the whole security? They blanket stuff under national security, just paperwork not to release. Can't you file the border something and make it, and then they're going to use a couple people aren't getting paid because of what's going on.
that's also
a way to
another
look at
ad
it, right?
hominem, an ad hominem argument. Like, I'm talking about people dying in human trafficking. You're talking about these guys can't get a hamburger from McDonald's because his paycheck is getting low.
That's what I'm saying.
Whoa, what's the difference?
Or you look
here?
at the moves this country's made when they've done things like if you move a company overseas, you get tax free for so many years, and and these people got laid off more so than the numbers they're giving you now to make it look so desperate, and they were fine with that. That took a couple year process, and lots of people made money off that. Lots of people lost their livelihood, and they perpetuated the whole damn thing.
Yeah. I think about it. If everybody cared as much about border security as we do, then there wouldn't be a governmental shutdown.
Yeah.
We'd be rocking and rolling. In fact, there'd be people having more jobs down south, building the wall, building jobs.
And you
Getting
think
American
that
steel and American
they can
soil.
do it too. Just give the money there. It's like $5 billion is going to break the bank. Oh, take your money. And they're acting like, but it's not. It's a bigger issue to them. It's demoralizing. It's,
This is the hill they're gonna stand on and possibly die on, and that's what the Democrats are standing on. And the problem though is they're using the American public as idiots to the slaughter of trying to tell us that we don't need protection on our borders.
yeah.
It's just common sense.
I don't know. Maybe the
President
federal.
Trump kept on saying it.
Yeah. I don't know. Does it ever open up again? Does the federal government need to be shut down and then redone or something
about-
anyway?
Yeah, that would be real nice. And maybe put it back to a municipality and not a sovereign country.
Yeah,
that would be really
they're
nice.
redoing all the paperwork and stuff right now, folks. That's what's really possibly going down. They're draining it. The system's not making any money right now. And the wheels have come to a halt. It's a partial shutdown, we know.
Partial. Well, it's about 1,500 hours. I don't know what's happening. I think Mike and I are going to kind of wrap this one up. I want to see possibly they're beginning the meeting now. We also both have families, and of course, we would love to be with you guys all day
Yes.
long, doing everything we totally can. I agree. It could be a reboot coming, a financial. Hopefully, it's a governmental. We're definitely hoping that a lot's happening. But at least from my side over here, again, God bless you all. Like, share, subscribe. I mean, being with you guys is definitely what keeps Mike and I and the team here at the Patriot Hour going.
Yes,
So lots of love and God bless.
I'm glad you guys joined us for that. Trump. That was great. It was unexpected. I knew he was going in to have this meeting at 3. That was an extra little kicker.
Bonus.
You guys got to hear all that as well as we did. So we'll see you back here this evening. I'll have some videos on the Patriot Hour. Something like this is probably going to get put over there as well. So again, God bless, Godspeed each and every one of you, and we'll see you back here real soon. Next Patriot Hour.